Hiya, hiya! So, by now I'm sure you've heard of the Animaniacs reboot that was set to release November 20th of this year. Well, as of recording this, it is 2 days after the release, and since I've grown quite fond of the original Animaniacs, I wanted to see if this reboot held up in true Saberspark fashion. By the way, if you haven't checked out Saberspark, I highly recommend it. The Animaniacs Reboot was released to Hulu, and currently there are 13 brand new episodes with an average of around 25 minutes. The two companies I could find that made the reboot were Amblin Television and, obviously, Warner Brothers. Amblin Television was founded by Kathleen Kennedy, Frank Marshall, and Steven Spielberg on July 31st of 1984. In my research, I realized I didn't know who Amblin Television was, so I thought it was just me. I'm not very caught up on well-known companies, but it turns out I was wrong. I asked around and no one else did too. In fact, out of the 20 people I asked, there were only 3 people who knew, and 2 of them were my parents. With Amblin Television being so unknown, they must have made some pretty forgettable movies and TV shows, right? Well, that was wrong too. They actually made the original Animaniacs back in 1993, Tiny Toon Adventures in 1990, as well as the reboot, E.T. in 1982, where they got their logo, Casper in 1995, Men in Black in 1997, and, this one surprised me, the Back to the Future trilogy. How did this company become so forgotten in my generation? How have I never heard of them when I watched Back to the Future almost religiously as a kid? How did they fall out of relevancy when they made such classics? To be honest, I don't know. Perhaps the Animaniacs reboot will help. That is, if it's good. On the development side, Steven Spielberg came back to direct the Animaniacs reboot. The storyboard development started around July of 2018, and the voice recordings were around May 2020. The original voice actors for Yakko, Wacko, Dot, Pinky, and Brain are all here as well, and they sound fantastic. In fact, I can't really tell a difference apart from the higher quality of the audio. But with 327 minutes of content, is the Animaniacs reboot worth your time? Ooh, title drop. Well, let's find out. Also, there may be spoilers, so be warned. I'll try not to spoil the good jokes, though. The first episode starts out with a reference to Steven Spielberg's most popular film, Jurassic Park. The art style is clean, and the backgrounds are wonderful. Actually, during advertising, the official Animaniacs accounts, like on Twitter and Instagram, set up a number that you could call to hear the classic characters talk to you. And by talk, I mean you listen to a pre-recorded message. I called it, and to be completely honest, though it was ad-ridden, it felt like the classic Animaniacs. After calling, you can choose to have them text you a link with Zoom backgrounds, phone wallpapers, coloring pages, and GIFs, which is where I got the high-definition backgrounds to show you all. The only issue I have with this style is the lack of shadows. Not even a circle shadow under their feet, which makes them feel like they're floating. Back to the episode. In true classic Animaniacs fashion, they make fun of Hulu and the Warner Brothers for being money-hungry companies right from the start. The first solid joke is the literal slapstick humor between the personifications of the viewers. Blonde girl and faint guy. Have never actually seen Jurassic Park. I know, shame. From there, it transitions smoothly into the introduction, which has now been updated with different lyrics since most of the characters are gone and some lines haven't aged as well. For example, Dot has wit instead of just being cute. The lines where they introduce Buttons, Mindy, the Good Feathers, Slappy, Rita, and Runt have been replaced with the show testing well in focus group research and explaining that it is gender balanced, pronoun neutral, and ethically diverse. Really rolls off the tongue, though the original theme song will always be the one you'll sing to. The sellout jokes, however, feel a tad on the nose, though that may be because they crammed so many jokes about selling out into the first episode. I mean, they sing 2 whole songs about it. Yakko, Wacko, and Dot all run home to their water tower, and they can't open the door. Some cartoon violence ending with Wacko definitely getting a concussion later, and we come across my first issue with this reboot. This is my issue with present-day cartoons as well, and that is gross out, bottom-of-the-barrel, cringe humor. It's not my thing, and I'm sure it can be done well, but this is definitely not it. Granted, it's Animaniacs, and it comes with charm, but there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of gross-out humor. pus, zoom-ins on sagging ass cheeks, boogers, burps, rotting food, eye licking, vomiting, and oddly pronounced nipples. You may be confused by that last one, but I'm not joking. We have Cyclops Trump with disturbingly massive nipples, and they make a effort to focus on them. Obviously, they're making fun of Trump, which is a fire I am not going to touch on because politics, but do they really need to make them that pronounced? This video you're seeing is completely unedited, by the way. I feel like I should be looking around because even I feel uncomfortable, like I'm watching something I shouldn't be. There are so many of these moments that I don't have time for them all. With all the gross out humor, there are times I just ended up turning it off and watching the classic Animaniacs. If you are looking to be reminded of the smart comedy in the classic Animaniacs, I'm sad to say it isn't all there. It is enjoyable, yes, but it is not the way you're probably looking for. Speaking of Trump, the reboot also takes advantage of the absolute hellhole that is politics numerous times in this season, and even talks about gun violence in a pretty funny, though cringe humor-ridden sketch. It jumps styles going from kawaii pastel to even anime. Hiya, future Budsy. So I wanted to touch up on the songs since I realized I didn't talk about them. They're fairly good, and one of the songs, specifically the one in the pastel style from, I want to say, episode 4. Future me, put in post what episode it actually is. Future me, whether editor me, I went back to see what episode it was, and I saw that episode 6 was removed. And I looked back to my footage, and episode 6 was the episode with the really amazing song. I did some research on why the heck it was gone, because I went, that's weird. Turns out, during the Pinky and the Brain segment, where they put up a quote-unquote fake phone number for the world domination thing, it was a real phone number. It was a real phone number. It was a phone sex line. So they had to remove it because they put a phone sex line in Pinky and the Brain. I'm actually dying. It's the segment called The Cutening, with Wacko, Yakko, and Dot all being turned into cute characters. And it's actually Dot who eats the cupcake and turns the world adorable. The song that plays while she's doing that is so catchy that I can't get it out of my head. I'll spare you the song because I'm sure you're going to get it into your head as well, but there are seriously a lot of songs that have heart and lots of charm. With one of the Halloween episodes from Pinky and the Brain, there's a song that's literally just about lakes, which sounds like Pinky wrote it, which is hilarious and also kind of catchy, which is weird. All I remember is lakes. Lakes are fun. And yeah, anyways, back to what we were saying. But the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister isn't the full focal point, just like they weren't in the classics. Part of the runtime is set for Pinky and the Brain, who have a wonderful theme song upgrade, with beautiful purples and a lovely style change as well. I seriously can't get enough. In fact, I'm pretty sure Pinky and the Brain has the best segments in the entire reboot. It doesn't have nearly as much gross-out segments that have me cringing, and most of the jokes land and are pretty funny. I would watch these segments again and again. There are some awkward makeout scenes. No, I'm not joking. Pinky talks about the abuse Brain puts him through, and some really gross toddlers. There are also spin-offs, like in the classic Animaniacs. There was Starbox and Cindy, I think it was, where it's a tyrannical alien who crash-landed in a kid's sandbox, and I'm completely going off script, by the way, crashed into a sandbox, and this little girl found him, and he wants to press a button to call upon the extinction of humans and world domination and all that. But he can't push the button because the little girl Cindy thinks he's a doll, so she keeps putting him in these tiny little doll dresses, and you know those stretchy aliens? She spins him around like one of those. I mean, It's not as memorable as some of the other ones, but it definitely has charm. In the end, would I say the Animaniacs reboot is as good as the original? No, I wouldn't. You saw that coming. Would I say this is a masterpiece? Obviously not. But would I say it is fun to watch? Surprisingly, yes. It was never going to be perfect, but if you can get past the gross-out humor and heavy politics, it is a fantastic watch. Just know it won't be as good as the original you grew up with. Now, if you don't mind me, I'm going to bleach my eyes of Cyclops Trump's nipples.
Why is this so hard?
The Animaniacs reboot was released. The Animaniacs reboot was released. Oh my god. I'm not very. Well, wait. Perhaps the Animaniacs reboot. Perhaps the Animaniacs reboot debut. Perhaps the Animaniacs reboot will help. That is, if it's good. Perhaps on the development side, Steven Spielberg came back to No. Actually, during advertisement, the official Animaniacs account. During advertising, the official Animaniacs accounts set up a number that you could call. Oh my god. Okay. After calling, you can choose to have them text you with a link. After calling, you can choose to have them text you a link with Zoom backgrounds, phone wallpapers, coloring pages, and GIFs, which is where I got. Oh my god, I was so close then. No. The only issue I have with this style is the lack of shadows. Not even a this is way much harder. Okay. The only issue I have with this style is the lack of shadows. Not even. Oh my god. Back to the episode. In true classic Animaniacs fashion, they make fun of Hulu and Warner Bros. Back to the episode. In true classic Animaniacs fashion, they make fun of Hulu and the Warner Brothers for being money-hungry companies right from the start. The start? This isn't Iron Man. Back to the episode. In true classic Animaniacs fashion, they make fun of Hulu and the Warner Brothers for being honey money. In true. From there, it transitions. From there, it transitions. How do you say this word? Transitions. No, I want word. Transitions. From there, it transitions smoothly into the introduction, which has now been updated with different lyrics since most of the characters. Oh my god. From there, it transitions. Yeah. This is my issue with present day cartoons as well, and that is gross out, bottom of the barrel. Oh my god, stop opening doors! I was on a roll, okay? The sellout jokes, however, feel a tad on the nose, though that may be because they crammed so many jokes about selling out into the mouth. Stop it. Okay. The sellout jokes. Why? I mean, they sing 2 songs about it. 2 whole songs. Oh my god. Am I still I am. Good. 10 minutes? Holy. In the second episode, with the first segment, Warner's Unbound, we have Cyclops Trump with massive. Oh my gosh, I can't even snap anymore. You may be confused by that last one, but I'm not joking. In the second episode, with the first segment, Warner's Unbound, and they make an effort to focus on them. Obviously, they're. Okay. With all the gross out humor, they're. With all the Stop making mouth noises, me. Advantage. They're also just like in the original. Do I really want to keep going?